Hey everyone, Fritz here. Are you looking to change the speakers in your BMW, but you can't find the specific BMW harness? And all that you find are these spade connectors that you see right here. Well, in this video, we're gonna show you how you can switch these spade connectors and the empty cables right here into spade connections with the BMW speaker adapter on the opposite side. Let's get into the video. Now this integration that we're gonna do should only take you about 5 to 10 minutes and is really simple. All that we need are the parts in order to convert the bare wire that you see here into the BMW speaker wire that we have right here. And in order to do that, all that you need is just this Y connection right here. And I'll leave the link for this down below. All that we're gonna do is remove these ends from this wire and put it onto the other wire. And you might be saying to yourself is, how come we just don't splice the opposite end with spade connections? Now the reason why is because these wires are actually a whole lot thicker, and on top of that, these aren't necessarily two wires because this is actually one whole wire. And what I mean by that is if you imagine this wire is not two of these hanging side by side. It's actually one wire bent in half, and then it's soldered here and then it comes out. So you could splice this end and just put a spade connection here if you have the system where the tweeter is separate from the speaker. But if you have the component set like I do, I just have the basic sound system, then you're gonna wanna remove this adapter from this end and put it onto your new speakers. And as I said before, the wires that we're moving this adapter to are thicker and a lot better quality. And what you might notice down in the description is that I don't have a link for any speaker wires. And the reason why is because if you're upgrading the speakers to these Alpine speakers that I have here, which I will list in the description down below, they actually come with the speaker wires and a few brackets and screws and a bunch of other things that are gonna be helpful for you. So I wanted to go with a kit that gave me everything that I needed and I didn't have to buy parts from so many different places. Now when you're doing the swap, you have to make sure that you know which wire is your ground and which one is your hot. If you bought the same speakers as me, the one with the black stripe down the middle, that is your ground, and the other one is your hot. Same thing on the gray connection that I have here, but you might not be able to see it as clearly. There is actually a black cable that runs on this end and nothing on this other side. Another indication is that the smaller spade, that is going to be your ground, and the bigger spade is going to be your hot. With that in mind, we can start taking off the adapters at the end of this connection. All that we have to do is pry up on this lever here, and you can just use a pick tool for that in order to release it. And if you can see in that little window right there, we actually have to push out the prongs that are in the adapter. So just push it in and pull it out. And just in case, you wanna watch in this section here. So just because you cleared this window doesn't mean you should pull it out all the way, because you could bend the pin. So make sure that you push it out on this end when you're pulling it out as well. And there we go. We have our two pins released from the adapter. Now before we start inserting the pins into our new wires, we should take a look at our door speaker harness first. In order to do that, let's remove the trims around the door lever as well as the door handle, taking note of the opening at the bottom of the door lever. Now we can remove the 5 Torx screws that hold in the door panel and start popping out the pins on the door panel itself. On the back side, we have a few connections. The one to the door lever, we also have the one to the window switch, as well as the light to the door lever and the light at the footwell. And here we have our connection. Just go ahead and wiggle it out. Now here on these wires, we can actually see that there is a red and brown stripe. Red is going to be our hot, and brown is going to be our ground. And you can see that this lip right here, that is going to be the side of the ground. The hot will not have that side on it, at least in the case of my car. But this is definitely something that you want to check before you align the pins and lock them into place. Now we can start taking off the pins from the wires. And the way that we do that is simply slipping off the part of the connector that holds in the wire to the insulating material. And as you can see right there, these two prongs that were holding the insulating material are loosened up. And now we can start to take this pin off. all that we do is just take our 90-degree pick tool in order to start scooting it along those thin wires. And it pops off just like that. Now what we can do here is remove this protective insulating layer on the wires, and we're just going to measure it up to these old connections. That way we know how much to cut. So right about there is good. Take our wire cutter. There we go, cut to equal length. So remember that the ground, which is going to be this wire with the black stripe on it, this is what's gonna feed into that wire with the brown stripe, and it has that lip on it. Fortunately, this connection has lips on both sides, so we don't have to worry that much about it, but we still need to make sure that we're properly placing the pins. So all that really means is that these locking pins on the underside of this pin, we want them to be on the underside of the wire when we insert it in this orientation. So just for visual purposes, I'm gonna flip everything, and then it'll be right side up, and slide the wire into the collar of the pin, making sure that all of the wires slide in on that underside there, which they do. And we're perfectly seated at the insulating material there. We do have a little bit of wire sticking out, no problem. Just pinch it there and lightly push them together. And now it's secured in place. Now do the same for the positive terminal. Now all that we have to do is slide on our pins into the housing. You could use a pick tool like this to kind of scoot it, because remember that these wires that we're using right now are a little bit thicker than the original ones. And now that the pins are in, lock it into place, pull it to make sure it's snug, and that's it. And just like that, you have your speaker connectors for your BMW, making any speaker that you get, so long as it's the same size, a plug and play version. You don't have to get the super premium deluxe BMW speakers that cost $600, $700, $800. You could just go ahead, spend a few bucks and a little bit of time to make your own harnesses and get the speakers that you want, insert them into your car, and you're probably gonna not even spend half of that on your sound system. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave it for me in the comment section below. And the next video that we're gonna do is going to install the door speakers on the M235i. I'll see you in the next video.